What's up guys, Mickle here, and in this video we're going to talk about CBDCs because for the longest time the United States has been telling us that they are very far away from launching their own central bank digital currency. They have been telling us it's not going to happen. Well, we just got a brand new report that's telling us we might only be 90 days away from the United States having a central bank digital currency. In this video, I want to show you exactly who just said that because the source is actually pretty shocking. And I also want to go over a brand new report that was also launched by Ripple earlier today that talks about how they are going to use CBDCs in the future and how XRP is directly involved in these CBDCs. This goes against the narrative that has been being pushed out there for a while, that Ripple's CBDC product won't use XRP. I want to show you that is the furthest thing from the truth. This is something you are definitely going to need to see. Last of all, at the end of the video, I want to show you a brand new clip of Jeremy Hogan. It just came out today, and it's him talking about where we currently are in the Ripple SEC case. Are we going to go to trial? Are we going to go the distance? Stick around to the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. We are so close to 40k subscribers. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's going to help me out so much and really does mean so much to me. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange I'll pull down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start out this video and go over something that was just brought to my attention that was extremely shocking. I was not expecting to see this. This was actually reported on by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And obviously when I saw the last name, I was like, is he the son of the former president John F. Kennedy Jr.? Well, I did a couple Google searches and it's actually his nephew. Funny enough though, immediately after seeing this report that kind of blew my mind, I was not expecting to see this report, I found out that this guy is actually running for president now, and this was just announced like 4 or 5 minutes ago, so I'm gonna have to look a lot more into this guy. But he actually just put an announcement that alongside the FedNow service that is launching this summer, the Federal Reserve will also be launching a CBDC for intra-bank settlement. Now, this is something I was not expecting to see at all because everything we have been told by the media up until now is that the Federal Reserve is 2 to 3 years away from launching a central bank digital currency. Well, what looks like could potentially be happening, and this is assuming that this reporting is true, but it looks like he's probably at least a pretty credible source, but it looks like what might be happening is the Federal Reserve is going to launch a back-end CBDC for essentially clearing between banks and then try to hide the fact that that's a central bank digital currency by saying, oh, well, it's not interacting with the public, therefore, yeah, we're probably still a long ways away from anything like that. But it looks like the Federal Reserve could be moving forward a lot faster than people expected with their central bank digital currency. Now, like I said, this is just going to start on the back end. But if this is true and this is actually happening, well, this means things are progressing a lot faster than many people anticipated. This is almost the exact thing that conspiracy theorists were saying for the last couple months was going to happen. We were essentially going to have some kind of banking crisis, which we sort of had. We had all the stuff around the you-know-what 19 disease, and obviously that forced a lot more things to go digital, and now it looks like we have a CBDC right around the corner. Now, obviously, this is a potential game changer because this advances timelines so much quicker than I ever could have thought would happen. Now, people always say things happen slowly, then suddenly. Well, if this actually happens in July, this would be the suddenly part. This would mean we are so much closer to this massive transformation to our financial system than I would have ever anticipated. And it's extremely important to point out, the back-end services for how these banks interact with each other hasn't changed in like 60 to 70 years. I mean, we are on such old legacy technology, this would be a massive upgrade. And I know a lot of you are already asking the question, how does this play into what Ripple and XRP are doing? Does this make them obsolete? Is the Fed CBDC going to completely replace this technology? Well, the answer to that is no, absolutely not. This just makes Ripple and XRP all the more important and is actually making my bullish thesis play out so much faster than I would have ever anticipated. The second we start to transition into a digital financial system, as soon as these upgrades actually start to happen, we are going to need technology companies like Ripple because the government is not going to be able to handle all of this. This means that we are so much closer to actually having different countries interact with their CBDCs. This means we are so much closer to the tokenization of entire financial systems. This is not going to all happen by the US government. It never does. When the internet first got launched and companies started first creating websites, the US government ultimately started to create their own internet infrastructure. But it wasn't all government made, it wasn't all government owned, it was created by the private sector. We're going to see that same exact thing happen, and right now, or up until now, we have been at the stage where we have been really fighting against the government. We have been trying to force this adoption to happen, but the US government, the big players in the United States, haven't been accepting it. This would be a dramatic shift in that policy and shows that the time is finally here for this technology to take off. And Ripple and XRP are going to play a critical role. Ripple is by far the most significant cryptocurrency company in the entire world, and they're based in the United States. In order for the United States to stay competitive in this digital financial system, they're going to need companies like Ripple. And Ripple's likely going to have an extremely important role in moving money between CBDCs all around the world. Now, me personally, I thought we were extremely far away from this. I thought we are 5 years away from the Federal Reserve creating a CBDC and settling payments to it. But if we were actually just a couple months away from this taking place, well, who knows what could happen? We could be right around the corner from a transformation in our financial system, and I have never been a person who believed in a flip of the switch moment, but that's exactly what this could be. I mean, if we really did have a scenario where instantaneously overnight the Federal Reserve just turned on a CBDC for back-end settlement, I mean, who knows what other potential changes to this system could be right around the corner. Ultimately, if this is true, this is an absolute game changer for what we're heading into, and this just makes me think more than ever that so much of what we've seen has been orchestrated, has been manufactured, has been played out to get us directly to this point and ultimately usher in this change. I mean, this alone, if this is true, would completely make me rethink everything about the Ripple SEC case, because if this case really does end right before this goes live, I mean, you have to be asking serious questions about what just happened and how we ended up in this scenario where suddenly every single cryptocurrency out there doesn't have clarity, and then you have XRP, who was sued by the SEC in the worst case ever, getting clarity. At the same exact time, the Federal Reserve would need a company like Ripple to help make CBDC transfers all around the world happen. I mean, this is absolutely wild. As you could probably tell, I'm still digesting a lot of this for myself. I mean, this completely took me off guard. We're going to have to see where this goes, but I kind of want to transition and talk about a very interesting announcement that just came out earlier today, and that is that Ripple is actually going to be using sidechains on the XRP ledger to create CBDCs and private blockchains. Now, people in our own community have been telling us for the last couple months, hey, these CBDCs Ripple's building, these private ledgers, these have nothing to do with public XRP. Now, if you follow this channel, you would know I have been pushing back on this narrative hard. I've been saying there is no way Ripple's going to be building CBDCs that don't hook up to the XRP ledger. That's completely insane. Of course they're going to do that. At the end of the day, Ripple has a commitment to make sure the XRP ledger gains as much value, gains as much utility as it possibly can. They hold 50 billion XRP. Of course they want to make it utilized as much as possible. And right now, Ripple is telling us, hey, we're going to be building CBDCs on the public XRP ledger, and we're right around the corner from the amendment that will allow this to happen. All at the same exact time, we have reports coming out that the United States is right around the corner from building a CBDC, and the Ripple SEC case could potentially end at any moment. Now, I am not a person who typically looks into all these events lining up perfectly, but these are just things you cannot deny. It is absolutely shocking how quickly everything is being put into place, and if we really do have a potential scenario where the Ripple SEC case ends, Ripple goes live with an amendment that allows them to build public CBDCs on the XRP ledger, and we have the United States coming out with their central bank digital currency, well, that is going to incite a lot of questions about how much we just went through in the last couple years was all orchestrated to usher in this change. Either way though, I kind of want to move off of this. This is going to take a lot of research for me over the next couple days to figure out what's going on here. Obviously, this is shocking. This completely changes my bullish thesis. It's extremely good for my bullish thesis. I thought we were so much further than any of this taking place, but it looks like we could be right around the corner. Now, obviously, a lot of this hinges on whether or not this reporting is true. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. Obviously, no one's going to come out from the Federal Reserve and say, oh yeah, we just didn't tell you we're launching this CBDC in a couple months. We're going to have to watch this closely, but if this is true, buckle up, we have some crazy things ahead of us. So I want to finish this video off with a clip of Jaime Hogan talking about where we are in the Ripple SEC case. I wanted to spend some more time on this, really break it down, but obviously I went a little long on the first half of this video, so I'll let Jaime Hogan take this video out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Listen up closely to this. I think this is a great clip by Jaime Hogan.
Right, so your initial statement is correct. A settlement, there's no appeal of a settlement, of course. The problem with the settlement is it has no effect on any other cases in the space, right? So if Ripple settles with the SEC, it has absolutely no effect on the SEC's next lawsuit against another crypto company. So in a sense, it's good for Ripple, but a settlement between the SEC and Ripple is bad for crypto.
Correct.
Because in the past, remember, every lawsuit that the SEC has brought in the past against these companies, no one has really been able to put up a fight. I mean, Library put up a fight, but they only had like $1 million to fight the SEC, which in the legal world is not a lot of money. Ripple's put $100 million into fighting the SEC. And the facts for Ripple are pretty good, better than for most crypto projects. So this is the case where the SEC could what they're doing could be put to an end with the Ripple case, because that will then be the end of the SEC being able to make some of these arguments they've been making in the past. So if Ripple settles, all of that money for the crypto space is wasted. Now, they would have to do what's in the best interest of the company, but at the same time, it's not going to have any effect as far as the other, as far as crypto in general. If the judge rules in Ripple's favor, I do not think the SEC is going to appeal. And the reason I say that is because there's no benefit to the SEC to appeal, because if the case then goes up to the Second Circuit in the appellate court and the Second Circuit rules against the SEC, now that becomes binding precedent. And the SEC is screwed as far as any other lawsuits that they want to bring. So if I'm the SEC, and I'm 90% sure this is what they would do, and they lose, there won't be an appeal, because they don't want to mess up their whole agenda here in enforcing these regulations against the crypto space. So in my mind, the only way we get the Ripple test is if Ripple loses at the trial court level, appeals it up to the Second Circuit, because then Ripple will do it because they have the money and they have the incentive to do it. Right. And they're going to want the Second Circuit to say, no, we're going to replace the Howey test with the Ripple test, and we're going to require an investment contract to actually have a contract. So that's how that would all work now.